Okay, so hypothetically, this should be doing stuff. um, cool. Let's see if this actually is working. Oh, look at that. Can I turn on my own video? Let's see if that happens. Okay. So it looks like it's a couple seconds
look at that.
behind. Can I turn on my own video? Oh, yep. And I can hear myself. Let's see if that happens. Oh, God, this is just gonna get trippy. So it looks like it's
if I keep this on.
a couple seconds
look at
behind.
that.
Can I turn on my own
Cool,
video?
it
works. Happy ending. Very nice. Yeah, so hypothetically, if I'm gonna do this, because if anyone's watching right now, you know, I can't see your comments or anything yet, so I need to find out how I can look at my own comments and stuff while I'm doing this. I'm pretty sure there's a feature that I can attach to it, like back in the program. I think there's a thing, like a YouTube widget. Oh yeah, like a live chat viewer. What do you mean? Widget not yet authorized to connect to YouTube. Okay. Chat. Alright. Authorize XSplit to YouTube Live. Schwa. Alright. This is a step in the right direction. Again, if anyone happens to be watching, then, you know, rest in peace. Alright, so we've authorized it. I guess let's put it in the corner. It looks like Salem has commented saying, I'm guessing Evis, but it's really small, so I can't really see it yet. Let's see, how can I up the size? There we go. There we go. Salem, your comment is now visible, and it is quite appreciated. Evis to you too. Can I make the font my special font, like the Lucida? Obviously, I don't own Lucida, but yes, Lucida. Come on, boys, we're making this font Lucida. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Alright, and now I'm gonna check on the actual stream to see if that is fitting with the whole dealio. Okay,
Right,
but is that going to still be just like a gray block of text on the actual stream to see if that is fitting? I need to hear myself. Oh God, it's just like a big gray wall. We don't want that. We want something like small and in the corner, you know? How are we gonna do that? Let us find out. Okay, so oh, there we go. No, I still need to view Evis. There we go. Alright, and then, oh. Okay, now, no, not you. Okay, now can I alter the background color? Chat box. Oh. Okay. Okay, that's cool. Okay. I like that. We can make it a little bit smaller. Can't hear clearly. Okay. Let's see what I can do about that. Alright. Does that help, Salem? Or do I need to... Well, I mean, either way, hang on a second. Hey, thanks, Nguyen. Very, very nice. Alright, hang on a second. I'm gonna turn off the air conditioning and see if that improves things. I mean, obviously it will, but, you know. I wasn't going through too much effort this morning yet. I just wanted to see if this works. Okay, so I'm guessing this is going to be better. If anything, the gain might be too high now. And David Schlunk says it's fine for you. Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure. Let me listen to myself real quick. And David Schlunk says it's fine for you. To myself. Okay, that's good. Oh God, this is weird. I just want to now another question for people myself real quick is, can you hear both my voice and whatever is on the screen right now? Because whenever I like save these recordings and all that and listen back to it, I can hear like something. Like if I play a video, I would be able to hear myself talking and the video at the same time. I think that is the case. I hope it's the case because, you know, doing linguistic stuff often involves sound, and I want to, you know, meme around on the IPA chart audio at some point, I'm sure. But okay, yes, okay, cool, very nice. Yeah, that's a good sign, very good sign. All right, yes, I could hear, very good. Okay, this is a good sign. I'm finally getting this all figured out. I figured, like, you know, obviously it's not going to get like a ton of views at this point. I only have like a little under 400 subs. But I figured I could at least get, you know, a few people to watch, you know, and give me some input while I do things. Like I was planning on maybe a little bit later, or even now, I don't know, working on my reverse Cern-Cahelan evolution. I've been going on that, trying to come up with definitions and what the roots of these roots actually are, going back, you know, to the Proto-Language, because, you know, I'm doing this backwards. But yeah, so that's working. Let's see, what else can I do on here? Alright, cool. So the chat viewer is working quite successfully. I'm going to see if there's any other settings in here that helps do stuff. So the source, yeah, that's fine. Hide user icons. No, I like the user icons. Hide timestamps. Timestamps are good. That gives me a reference for like how things are actually working. Batman. Oh my god. Nga is the best sound ever to exist. Everything is beautiful. Alright, blocking. I can ban people. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I need to ban anyone yet, but I'm sure someday I'll have to. Color, well, that's just for any kind of video input. Layout, that's fine. Effects, could I just like, ooh, oh, I can make it, oh, I can make it black and white. That doesn't help. I can make it old. I can make it a sketch. That's actually, you know, the text shows up well that way. You know, it's not as colorful, but then again, neither is my logo or my general, you know, design aesthetic. So if we have that might be cool. You know, just kind of, well, okay. I would need to shrink the font a little bit. That is still definitely legible. That's good. And then I could just compress that a little bit. So then the two most recent comments will be always showing up on my stream. I'm sure I'll have to do something about that if I, like, you know, later on, if people are going to be, like, spamming me with comments constantly. But for now, I think that's okay. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. I mean, the only thing is I can only look at it when, you know, when I'm back on this monitor. Oh no. Oh, it's happening. Oh, this is good. No, honestly, very, very, very pleasing. Yeah, so let's see. What else? So that's working. Honestly, I'm going to need to get my other monitor back. Because usually I have like a 2 or even 3 monitor setup when I'm doing these things. But right now, at the current spot that I'm at, because I've been moving around all over the place lately, it's been chaos, I'm down to 1 monitor. So if I'm going to have like live streams going and I want to have like a live chat open, I should have a second monitor again. So I'll probably try and figure out how I can get a second monitor onto this desk. But, it's not a huge desk. Alright, cool. So, for the time being, maybe I could... well, that would be kind of tough. I have an idea. I'll do this. Then I'll do this. Then I'll minimize you. Then I will have this kiddo here. I'll minimize you as well. I'll slap you right there. Oh, no. Okay. I'll slap you there. And I will scoopy-doopy you right there. And then I'll have this available to me. Well, obviously that's not going to be efficient for people as things go forward. Oh, I'll slap you. I'll slap you good. Just like that. Yeah, so, I don't need to see my own stream happening right there. But I just need the comments visible. Okay, that could temporarily work. But again, I'm going to need to get my second monitor out so that I could have that just sitting there and chilling for me. But anyway, I figured for a few minutes I might as well just do this before I, You cute. Why, thank you. You're also very cute. Alright. So if we have gek, which is the Proto-Language word that eventually becomes hoch in Autojune, and it means party. Now, party, that's going to mean political party, and I'm going to clarify that. And at this point in history, there really were no specifically political parties, so I'm going to say... what kind of... maybe just allegiance in general. Then we have law, which this word is one of the few words throughout all my changes that has not changed at all. Like, law has been nin this whole time. Nin, all the way over. Briefly becomes a lengthened I, nin. But really, it's just been nin. That's pretty impressive. And with that, I think, like, it should stay relatively similar as well. That one kind of thing that people will, like, hear. Say if you're an Autojune speaker and you're hearing someone speaking Noshin or Cerndish or Alkin or something, and you're just like, we both have the same word for blank. It's not going to be fully the same word because, things are changing all over the place. There's going to be different endings and prefixes and all kinds of wacky stuff going on. But should nin remain law? That's the real question. Wait, hang on a second. I need to check one more thing. Oh, cool. Yeah, so... there should be a suffix that makes it sound like ninja. Yeah, I kind of... there most likely will be. Because, obviously, I've spent the vast majority of my time on... on Autojune. But I'm making this proto-language because the language family is, like, pretty massive. You like nin? Yeah, I also like nin. I think nin should remain law. I'm going to keep it as law. But yeah, I need it to be that I can create literally dozens of conlangs out of this, because as I'll explain whenever I soon do a full like history of the Faunal Peninsula and all that, because I have the book printed out. I have the book. I could do, say, a Noshan language, an Alkan language, an Alcahrus language, Shomitek, Ancient Faunal, Cleonid, Queo, Ekaplug even. Like, there's a ton of different languages that I can make, and I will, specifically because of your comment, I will ensure that at least one of them, one ending in the first next language in the Cerncahelan language family that I make will include j as an ending. And it really won't be that hard to even justify in a related language, because you have the how or the how could easily become like jao or ja or something in retroactively in some sort of way. I can make that happen. So war, which is oten as a root, becomes adunil. And again, war is something that should probably remain the same. War, or at least battle, or some kind of internecine conflict. Like, perhaps I could say... So adunil. Maybe do I already have conflict created? No, I don't. So yeah, we'll just have it be a conflict in general. Then we have treaty. Treaty, which originally was, which in Autojune is oklach, which becomes ferlch. Interesting. So a treaty, that could be peace. There really is no word for peace in modern Autojune. It's just it was like kotenya or something like that, which means literally like the lack of war, or like the space between wars, because they're very warfaring people. But I would not at all be opposed to making an actual word for peace in the Proto-language. Alright, so yeah, tub comes from tib, free-range livestock. That you gotta make some of them a little edgy, So ub, which is ruler, becomes buv. Interesting. So buv for ruler, buv. Maybe this could be specifically like a chief or some kind of community leader. I will literally put chief, community leader. Cool. Unub for society. What was that? Unab, yeah. Unab to unab, all the way over. This is another one that's not too different. Society, or should it be like village? If ub and unub, it could all be related. It's all coming together. Let me see if my own comment shows up in here. If I just say bruh, am I gonna see bruh show up in my little XSplit feed? Hey, and I have a little crown next to me too. That's adorable. It's adorable. Bruh. Oh, very nice. Oh, I like this. This is... Being able to stream this and discuss these things out loud is honestly gonna make me more productive. Alright, cool. So then we have flag, voop, which eventually comes from lap. Well, yeah, not super different. But that's what happens with a lot of these one syllable words. Or one syllable roots, that is. So voop, flag. let's just like say flag comes from just like the concept of cloth. So government, which is Tlao. Tlao eventually becomes Vul. So, Vul for government. Government. For government, I could probably say like tradition. Being able to discuss it will make me more productive. The chat. Bruh. Yes, I I will not stand down from that. If I can meme around about it and say these things out loud, so I don't have to just sit there alone and talk to myself. I mean, I guess I technically still am talking to myself, but I have people here. It's a lot more of a peaceful method than, say, doing a Zoom call or something. But yes, I am productive. Alright, so government, we're gonna call this just the general concept of, like, traditional, maybe like, maybe just tradition in general. Like, those who enforce tradition are the government. I could, over the course of like 3,000 or 4,000 years, I could justify that kind of definitional change happening. So fold for a riparian island. That comes from auto, doesn't it? Yeah. Auto, like in the name of the language, Auto-Jun, eventually is fold. Okay. So fold for riparian island. That could probably be... Maybe I can make that... I don't want to keep it specifically as like a riparian island, but maybe as like a floodplain or something. Because you gotta think that the original like Proto-Saharan language, like the Yaremha of that language, it was originally spoken over in kind of like the Midwest of the United States, kind of like Arkansas, Mississippi River Valley kind of area. So I'm thinking a kind of like, River Valley vibes. Alright, then we have road, which means continent. Where did that come from? Oh, so chair. Chair eventually becomes road. That's a very different one. So we're gonna have continent. I'm assuming that the concept of a continent wasn't really a thing like 5,000 years ago. So we're just gonna call it the world. Was road. Alright, then we have canyon. Suffix. It was not originally a suffix. It becomes a suffix in Auto-Jun, but it was originally a word for canyon. And that word was, at least had the root of relutva. Relutva. Yeah, there we go. So, relutva. Should that still be canyon? Relutva. Relutva. Maybe that could be more of like a tributary. Like a smaller stream that leads to a river. Then room is Dupod. Dupod. Okay. So Dupod. That could be like an entire structure, like a hut. So then we have a bay or a broad lake. Juvans. 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 What did that originally was? Don't. So don't becomes Juvans. That's pretty good. What should that be? Probably... You spilled coffee on the... I mean, that's impressive. Like, that is very impressive. Hang on. I am a distracted server leader and I need to check a text message. Ah, cool. Anyway. Zutzuvans. We're gonna call that, like, just the ocean. Then we have Tsin, which is plaza. We'll call it the town center. Yeah, cool. And then Felnlin is hill. And also that becomes a suffix in modern Auto-June. It's Felnlin. It's hard to pronounce. But again, you know, what am I to say about that? I'm just some loser who exists in the real world. Finland. I'd say that could also represent just like a hill or a mound. Nipple. Salem, you honestly tempt me. I don't think I even have a word in modern Auto-June for nipple. I'd have to check. Honestly, well, maybe not specifically nipple, but maybe breast. Listen, these things exist, you know, it happens. Just because they're dog people doesn't mean that they don't have breasts. Again, not a furry. Let me pull this kiddo off here. There we go. So then we have country or nation, which it becomes futwes out of eta. Again, very good. So futwes. Do I already have tribe? I have a tribesman, but I don't have the tribe itself. So we will call it a tribe or a civilization. Then we have world, Hessin. Now we already have continent meaning world, so Hessin should mean something else. Hills have become entwined with fertility because of their connection with breasts, and the word sharing a common analogy is a logical leap. Yeah, it is. It definitely is a logical leap. So I can justify it, you know. Yeah, I'd say it's justified. I won't go so far as nipple, but breast will do it. Breast will be fine. But yeah, so if Hessin here can't represent world as in like the earth, then maybe it can represent, I'm thinking either bigger or smaller. Either like the concept of land in general, or like the universe in a religious kind of context. I think it should be land because of the convenient similarities between this one and the next one, where Hessin could mean land, and Hesongin or Hesongin can mean field still, like kind of a grassy plains kind of area. Tia. Yes. Tia to you too, Noah W. Yeah, so I'm gonna call this land as a concept, and then we're gonna go Hesongin is gonna be like the plains. Then we have town, which is a suffix in Auto-June, but we have the word rolt in the proto-language. So we have rolt, which town. We've already created village per se. Now town, this could be like a specific neighborhood or like a kind of bloodline-ish thing, like something where, you know, people are staying in the same kind of cluster of people for a long time. like, say, we could just, like, call it a bloodline, you know? Like, it's some kind of lineage-related substance. Then we have pass, as in kind of like, like a depression over a ridge of a mountain where you can travel places. That's a suffix in modern autojune that's added onto the end of words. But we have this relatively long root word that it comes from here, which pass, that could be, say, a mountain range or something. And then it becomes shortened gradually to become the concept of, like, a kind of fold between mountains that you can travel through. Then we have oceanic island, like an island in the ocean, which is Rødstud. Also a pretty hard to pronounce cluster there. Rødstud. There we go. Oof. Interesting. So, I don't know if they necessarily would have much experience with an oceanic island, but also the riparian island name does not any longer mean an island, it means a floodplain. So this, the Rødstud, could change to mean just an actual island, like any kind of island in general. Now we have a bank, like a riverbank, which is Keek. Does that stay Keek the whole time? Yeah, it does. Keek. Look at that. Alright, so, like, the bank of a river, or just kind of like any kind of bank off of a body of water. Bank, which is similar to a shore. Okay, so if we have a bank or a shore, we could call it, say, like, a beach, maybe? Beach, or any kind of dune if they ever come into contact with a dune. Then we have a ridge, also a suffix in autojune, but we have gel, or gel. There we go, kel. So if we have kel, hang on a second. All right, cool. Just checking things out, seeing if everything is working. Just to check from anyone who's watching right now, is the sound still working? Are the visuals still happening? Is my voice, like, behind it all, or does it seem pretty synced up well? Just checking so I can know, like, what I need to fix for next time I do this. Oh, let's see what we have here. Speaking of breast-related grammaticalization, my new yearbook quote. the word which is roughly translates to of in my language is technically derived from the word for milk through a similar process. I mean, that's actually pretty cool. That's some hardcore derivation going on there. But I like it, I can do things like that with this now that I am creating the proto-language. Because again, I did this whole process backwards. I am a fool. But, we're going to have the ability to do things like this. And I could potentially make, like, if I put the effort in, I could make, say, like, Noshin or Alkin or any of the other languages in the language family, like, even cooler than autojune itself. Which, I mean, isn't hard to do. Autojune was, like... Well, really, this version of autojune was like my third conlang ever, but if you compile all the various versions of it together, it goes back to be my first conlang. But, now I've done a lot more, and I know that I could do some wacky stuff if I really put my mind to it, and stuff like turning milk into of. That's some kind of wild adventure that I could go upon too. And the sound and visual stuff is all good. Cool. That is very helpful. Yes. So I think I might make a tradition out of this. Obviously, it's not like a massive amount of people watching. It says like 5 people are watching right now. I kind of maxed out at around like 10. But, that's fine. Like, it gives me a couple people to talk to. You can get some, fan input that literally does change the languages that I make, which is fun, Just go about it having a good time. I'm having a good time right now. I'm getting a little dehydrated, but it's okay. So anyway, quel. And I tend to reconstruct the protos and vice versa as well. Okay, cool. And glad to know I'm not alone on that. You know, because I see, like, you know, Biblaridian, he, like, the god himself, he goes through so much effort. His whole thing is, like, everything is just the descendants of the proto-languages, and that is very impressive because he makes them wildly different, and I strive to be able to do things like that. So we're gonna see how it goes. Also, what is it? Salem's language. I'm making a review for one of Salem's languages right now, and he also has, like, the proto language, the Gnichwab, for his Mondir language, which also very impressive. But I feel like I'm going about this in a slightly different way than what is considered normal. Though then again, like, we're conlangers, like, what even is normal? So anyway, Kale. Kale for ridge. If we have mountain range is oh god, and then we have Kale here. Unrelated words. We could say perhaps ridge as the suffix was hill. You know, a lot of these things can kind of intersect and intertwine. We have cold, which is north. So cold, which comes from north was krai, which eventually turns into cold. Interesting. So if we have north, we could say, I mean, I could keep it north, but I don't really want to. Like, in Pithom, the sense of north is also the sense of winter, or for something to, like, for something to become smaller. You know, there can be a wider sense for the concept of north. Cold, fold, road. This is true. This is true. If I could relate it to, say, the essence of called fold road. Yeah, exactly. I might be able to make them related. So we could say that the further north that you travel, the colder it gets. And that has to do with geography, you know, things that go further north, you know, these floodplains in the world, you know, all physical essences. How would I attach that, though? How would I bring the concept of north into the real world in a logical way? Like, maybe... No, but then there also is the next word, which is kodok, which is a mountain peak. So I could say cold. There we go. This is how it applies. Further north you go, more snowy it gets. You know, it also gets snow. Mountain peaks. So we have cold. We're going to call cold snow. We're going to call the kodok, the mountain peak, like, say, a place where it is snowy, or I mean, it could still be a mountain peak. That could be the same, but then the cold that comes out of Kolok could, you know, relate to the fact that mountains get snow on them. Though it would be a very long distance to travel from, like, Arkansas to see, like, real mountains that get real snow. So that's kind of a little bit less logical, but maybe you could just represent the concept of, like, a place where it snows in the winter. Like, just like a snowy location in general. I think that might work. And then also similarly related, we have kudu, which is forest in modern Auto-June, or guta. So if we have forest there, we could say call it like a more of like a taiga. Well, I mean, thanks, Salem. Love you too. Thanks, Kanye. Very cool. Alright, Kudu. Kudu forest, called snow. Called a snowy location. We could just call Kudu, like, cold. Because a forest is going to be colder than, like, a plain region. And then we have region, which seems to be Khudn, but then becomes Gudin after all the years, which, you know, sounds kind of similar, but that's kind of like a thing where, like, you're speaking English and then you look on Wiktionary and then you see that the Old English word was actually pretty similar and you're like, oh wow. Yeah, you know, kind of like that. It's something you wouldn't be able to guess, but still looks kind of similar. So if we have region, I'd say since we have like tribe, village, then world and all that, this could be like territory. Like you're in my territory, Gudum. Then we have a body of water, which is the machi, right? The machi. Yeah. So we have the machi there when it becomes dumut. Machi. Just any general body of water. Now, being that this is around like the Mississippi River Valley, and the Mississippi River is going to continue to exist into this time period, we could say that like the general body of water could just be implied to be like the Mississippi River. It could just be not a river valley, but just the river. Alright, now we have east. East becomes mulnga. Look at that. It's got nga. Duang. Alright. Mai to mulnga. Now this could be like sunrise. Something like that. I mean, it's sunrise in Pitham. Like the root for, you know, the day beginning, for things to, like, for the sun to rise, for time, a period of time starting and progressing forward. That all has to do with the concept of east. I don't want it to be exactly the same, though it is very easy to just imply that east and sunrise are the same thing. But should I? This is a bit of a thick debate. I mean, it's an easy conclusion to come to. You know, like that's an easy one. It doesn't have to be too wild. East has always been, and can easily be implied to be, you know, where the sunrise comes from. We're just gonna go with it. You know, there's hundreds of words on here. Like this is 191, and there are, you know, 565 of these. I've done some of the ones on the bottom, but, you know, we still have like a lot of these to go, and I'm not gonna do all of them now. Like, I'm probably gonna end the stream sometime relatively soon, depending on people's interest. If this is really like, you know, I can keep going for a little longer, but I definitely need water. In fact, I think I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna try and set up a little kind of switching screen. I'm gonna see what that looks like. Oh God. Nya is your cursed alter ego. Oh God, we don't talk about Nya. Do not listen to me. We don't talk about Nya here. Okay? We don't talk about him. Anyway, here, I'm gonna set up a new screen real quick. Alright, let's see what scene 7's gonna be. Well, okay, I'm kind of worried that if I do this, then it's gonna mess up all the visuals and audio and stuff. So actually, yeah, I'll come up with it later, but alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a sip of water. I'm not gonna like turn anything off or any of that, so 1 segundo. Alright, here we are again. I now have my... Oh no. ma. You can't keep bringing up all of my ancient ancestors like this. This will not go unpunished. Well, I mean, it probably will, for now. So, lake as a suffix. The Maer turns to dumungud. Now, this is a lake, but then the concept of water over here is dumut. Dumut and dumungud. The line of avatars. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to reveal too much about them, you know, but it goes deep. No need to look into the lore. You may find things that you were unprepared to see. Anyway. So we have Dumut and Dumonged. Now we could say that this is still just a lake. Alright, because we already have ocean, we already have the river. Do we have a word for lake yet? No, we do not. This is going to be a word that stays the same, but just as a concept. Oh no. Oh god, is that a retroflex? Oh god. Ugh. So we have Dumongid will be lake, or just like anything larger than a river. Anything larger than a river. And then we have river, which is Dumun. And we will say that a river, or Dumun, if we have Dumut, Dumungid, and Dumun, then maybe this could just be like water in general. Just Dumun. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty easy way to go about it. Alright, now we have west. Now I could also just make that sunset. You know, I really could. I probably should. Though again, a lot of conlangs tend to pride themselves upon the weirdness of their cardinal directions and stuff. But it's I'm doing weird things with a lot of the other words. This is overall a weird language reconstruction. All right, and so that comes from menai and becomes munu. Oh God. Ah. Oh, this is dark. This is very dark. We don't talk about them. Yeah, so west, we're just gonna call it sunset. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, Cancer. I like Inghwab, Ru, morning, and crew, water, merge to row. Yeah. Oh. Interesting. That is actually pretty cool. I do like that. Though again, like this is the proto language. This is before a bunch of these things could have merged. But say whenever I start working on Noshin or when I start working on Paramachican or something, I still haven't chosen which one I'm gonna do first. Maybe maybe I'll decide after I like read out the history of the Autojune language. When I read the history section of the book, you know, you're gonna get exposed to a lot of the various different cultures around the area that are in the same overall macro language family. Um, Maybe if you guys are interested enough, you could decide, or I could lay out a couple choices from what I describe in the book, and then I could choose which one is going to be the next one. But I could definitely do something like that where things merge together. And also with, this reversing of logic here, there's a lot of things that do end up merging or do end up splitting off into different things. So, we're just going for it. So we have home, which is mutao, or mut as the root word, which eventually becomes mtwa. Mtwa. So we have mtwa. Should that still mean home? Because we already have hut. Maybe like, since home over house is more of like, an emotional kind of context in English, we could have like this home eventually comes from something that means like the homeland or the motherland, or like their equivalent of like the Garden of Eden where they came from, whatever ancient human laboratory that was. We're gonna call that homeland or motherland. Neighborhood, Naden, which eventually becomes Nodn. Again, not too different. So Naden. Oh God. Epiglottal nasal. Oh no, don't do this to me. That's not even possible. Oh God. We're not even gonna try that one. So neighborhood, this could be like a foreign civilization, like how they think of the Pitham, like the Pernth language family during this era, could be that they are just all a branch of Nadim, the other civilizations. And so then we have Ropen, which is location. So like a physical location in modern Autojune. That could come from say like something related to oh god. All these alter egos, they are to remain hidden from this world. Do not bring out the beasts. But yeah, so I'll open for location. Why don't we just call that like the floor? The gastrointestinal nasal. Jeez. Oh god. That's some Klong material there. That's something we're gonna have to experiment with later. The phonemic representation of this, to be required to use the gastrointestinal nasal on a daily basis. It's beautiful. I believe. Alright, so Pafu. Pafu, just school, which comes from Pupwe. Pafu. Do I already have a word for child? No, I don't. I'll just call Pafu child. South, Pulul. From Piai. We're just gonna call that hot. Market, which comes from qach to rot. Interesting. Very interesting. Ah ha ha. Ah, that's hot. That's hot. Rewind time. So what for market? I mean, we're not necessarily in a mercantilistic age yet. Though I guess we technically could be. Maybe like a farmer. I already have like words for farm and all that, but like, a person who farms becomes the essence of the market. I think that works. Then glacier. Dol. What is the autogen word for that? Rai. So dol is glacier. Interesting. So dol. I mean, it could still be glacier. It could be the concept of just ice in general. That might be better. They might not necessarily know the difference between ice and of a massive glacier at this point. Then we have autogen's land suffix. Rolstru. Maybe this could be smaller than land, not field. We could do per se, like, some of these are tough to think about. Maybe this one could be, say, like a viewpoint, like a vantage point. Cool. Then we have the swamp. Oh, I should have done that scene, like the get out of my swamp. the "What are you doing in my swamp" in AutoJune, because you're gonna see the video that comes out tomorrow. It's it's Shrek. You'll see, but I should have done that. Anyway, so rotid is swamp. Rotid. Scrapped enough star systems. Honestly, yeah, Peve. I don't even know what that is. But geez, like, I've seen Ethnologue. That thing is wild. Like, why is it so expensive? I mean, I guess I know why it's expensive. But, you know, it's not like teenage linguists are rolling in enough dough to fully utilize Ethnologue. I'm sure, like, monetization dollars for certain YouTubers might make them able to get it, but I I don't have the spare resources for that at the moment. But again, like, I agree. It would be delicious to just have full access to everything in Ethnologue. That thing is benissimo. But yeah, so swamp. Swamp. Honestly, that might be able to stay the same. Like, again, they're in a swampy area. City is vin. Straight is vich. Relatively similar looking. Could I make them related to each other? Sorry, just had to crack my knuckles into the high gain microphone real quick. Sorry, so sorry. Anyway, Vin, city. Not homeland, not capital, not any of that. So if it's not city and it's not village, then we could just call it like a congregation, like a large grouping of people. What do we say? Language data accessibility service. And compiling data from other sources to make a wiki that goes into much more data on language than Wikipedia. It's been slow and I've been too busy lately. Oh my. Contrasting and oh, I can. That one is a concept that I can barely grasp. Like, the freaking voiced H. God. But no, that sounds pretty awesome. So send a link to it, like, or at least, or send it to me at nguhmail@gmail.com and I'll take a look, because that sounds pretty interesting. And I mean, it makes sense. Like, it takes time, and we all have lives to do. But yeah, it happens. Just I would like to see what you have so far, to see what kind of stuff we have on languages in there, because that sounds pretty cool. So yeah, nguhmail@gmail.com, or again, just put it in the comments. Alright, so if vich is straight, a narrow channel, usually of water, that allows people to travel through, that would be vich versus vin. Maybe like a junction of bodies of water. That kind of makes sense. Like, the strait in modern AutoJune is something that is narrow, like specifically like the Death Canyon Strait, or the Frith Straits, just a narrow channel of water, usually ocean water, but this could be where several rivers meet. like, I'm pretty sure there's a word for that. I did membean a lot in high school. I was the master. I was the only one in my entire school to finish membean, and it started like a whole movement of people just desperately going out to complete it. But because it was like a high school login, I don't have it anymore, that membean account. But I finished it, and I still use a lot of the words that I learned in membean today. So there's my official endorsement of the concept of membean. Anyway, there is a word for it, but I can't think of it right now. So I'm just going to call it a junction of rivers. Then Vandvu, village. But again, it can't be village because we already have that. Vandvu. Vandvu. So if we have Vandvu, Vandvunga, Vandvu, we could say that Vandvu is... Wait, hang on, let me check. So some of these comments aren't actually showing up on the screen correctly. You know, some of them are showing up on here, but they aren't showing up on YouTube. But I guess that's a good thing that the YouTube one is the more accurate one. But anyway, so it's not a village. We're going to say that it is like a desired thing. Now hear me out. Like, you know, a village is usually on like fertile ground or whatever. And people establish these towns because they have advantages to the location. Now, something that is sought after or desired, you know, would be an area where you would want to settle a village. So I will call this concept that eventually means a village in AutoJune. We're going to call it something that is, you know, desired. Then we have street, feed them. Now we're just going to call this like a route for animals generally, you know, because before there were roads by people, there were roads created just by like herds of animals just like walking in the same spot because they you know, they're more efficient at traveling than we are. All right, and then we have a place of business, which is he in modern AutoJune and fil long ago. So we can just call that like a trade or a skill for obvious reasons. Valley, Rollem, related to Rollstil as a vantage point. So we could say, if this is the valley, then this is like, what's the word? It's another membean word. Nadir, right? Nadir, which is like a low point. Let me check that real quick. Nadir definition. A point of celestial sphere directly below the observer. The lowest point. Yeah, cool. So we're going to call that a nadir, or a low point in physical life. Oh god, and then it's the numbers. I'm gonna skip the numbers for now. I'm gonna do that last. Entrails. So ahach eventually becomes fos, which again, really cool reconstruction. Very proud of that one. So fos entrails. You could just call that meat, honestly. Glass, fruktware. So did they have glass back then? That's the real question. Do they have anything like that? We could just call it metal in general, because glass, you think of it as like a sheet of something hard that you have to create using heat. What is something that would have been easier to produce in a flat kind of sheet back then in the olden days? Just like metal. Just like a metal sheet of some sort. Gem or crystal. God, that gave me a little kapoosh, because I'm currently watching Steven Universe for the first time, so I'm seeing a lot of crystal gems, if you know what I mean. God, that show is amazing so far. Just believe me, watch it. Well, I don't know, maybe at some point it'll become bad, but I am on season 3 so far, and it is still a god tier show. Highly recommend. Anyway, boopin. So boopin for gem or crystal. We're just gonna take that back to shine. That's a pretty obvious one. Then you have bulf for idea. What was bulf? So bavi is idea in modern autotune, but bulf is the original version. So bulf, 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 bulf. Bulf. Idea. Do I already have mind? No, so it's going to be mind. But then we have brain/mind here, which is bil. Bil. But again, we're going to go with like the old standard of people not assuming that the brain is where thoughts were held until, science proved it to be so. So the physical brain isn't necessarily going to be associated with it. But bil as a concept could be associated with like soul. Yeah, we'll call it soul. And then a tumor. Beloved. Honestly, that could be like something weird, like some kind of odd growth, like a gall. If you don't know what a gall is, it's like a lump that grows on a plant whenever like an insect, like a midge or some kind of small mite or fly kind of burrows its way into the bark, and it causes like a kind of genetic deformity on the plant, and it makes this big old lump, and it's called a gall, like Gall. I think it's Gall. Yeah, sorry, I work at a plant store, I know these things. We're going to say that tumor comes from gall. The idea of knowing about the brain but not that its thought centers always made me feel weird. Yeah, I mean, seriously though, like, if you had no idea, like, about science or whatever, how is there any way for you to prove that, like, thoughts come from the head? Like, obviously you have your mouth and your eyes and all that here, and they make you see, but maybe at the most you could say, like, oh, maybe the juicy stuff inside of the head is, what makes the eyes work or something like that. It's kind of it's weird to think about, but it's true. Like, people genuinely thought, at least like in a lot of Europe and in India and perhaps even in China, I haven't really researched that much, they did not make any kind of connection between like thinking and the brain itself. They thought that like all of that happened with the entirety of your internal organs other than your brain. Maybe sometimes it can have different words mean the same concept, or some words didn't exist. Yeah, no, that it would be less work. But at the same time, like, well, there are obviously some ones in here that I'm not going to be able to do. Like, there's some stuff like, guns and things, where I already did like some of those definitions and like really like stretch them out, but a lot of them are like really modern concepts that either have super weird backstories or literally cannot be done, and I'll just leave them blank if they can literally not be done. But yeah, oh, hey Samuel. So what we're doing right now is, first of all, I was testing out to see if like live streaming worked on here. is the first time with this current setup that I've attempted doing it, and it seems like it's working so far, so that's pretty cool. And second of all, I'm working on my reverse evolution of Proto-Language, and I'm working on changing definitions. Like, we have the definitions in green of words in modern Auto-June, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, like, these definitions weren't going to be exactly the same over the course of thousands of years. These root words had different meanings back in Proto-Language, so I'm, coming up with those definitions and getting some feedback from everyone else about it. Yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. And then, what is it? Didn't they make the connection to the brain and the spirit before thinking first? Honestly, I mean, they might have. I'm sure certain cultures did, but it definitely, at least in the post-Roman Europe and the post, like, oh God, what was that empire? In the post, like, what is that, Gupta Empire? Like, that kind of era, they still didn't associate thoughts with the brain in those kind of areas. It wasn't until a while later, I forgot what specific development it was that made people kind of realize that for sure. But I haven't researched that much into it. All I know is that, for all intents and purposes, the ancient Proto-Language didn't necessarily associate the brain with thought, and they wouldn't learn about that until later on. But they would learn about it much earlier than, like, the human equivalent. Like, for them, they find the ancient human technology in the year 1 AR. And so, in those discoveries, they're definitely going to find out a lot about, like, science and anatomy and all that. And by that point, the information will start spreading that, like, the brain is where information is held inside of a person's body, and that information will spread. But in the original Proto-Language, the people are not going to associate the brain with thinking. But yeah. Alright, anyway. So we have bof, which becomes behe, which is skin. Pretty sure I already made a word for skin. Maybe not. Now, should skin stay the same, or should I potentially alter it a little bit? I think skin might be a word that could keep the same definition over the years. Skin, or maybe at least, like, fur or hair or something. Yes. Nah, that is the correct answer. Hang on. Yeah, like a skin or a hide, like animal flesh. Animal flesh, flesh in general. Like, yeah, we can call it, like, skin, hide, animal flesh. That works, that's logical. Then we have trash, bodzo, which becomes brdva. Backwards. We could just call that, I mean, not necessarily waste. What's like one step beyond waste that we could go to? Waste. I mean, it could be like, feces, essentially. There's no word for feces in the proto-language yet. And then number. Banak. Now, that is very related to finger in Auto-June as well, because it's bonukut is finger and bonuk is number in modern Auto-June. And I think that connection is relatively logical, but I'd say we could go one step further into the past, and we could say that banuk could have gone from finger, and it could have meant any limb. So just like any kind of limb on a human body or a branch on a tree. So we're just going to call it a limb or a branch. Then phrase. If the word order in this looks weird, it's because it's... What order was it even going in? I think it's going in, like, order of categories. Yeah, because all the numbers are in order. Interesting. So if we have phrase could just be like speech or something like that. Like the concept of speech in general. Like a bekar. Yeah, I mean, I think that's relatively logical. If phrase is just like a speech utterance of some sort. Then we have rain, which goes from bushla to bardva. So bardva, rain. We could at least alter that to mean like some kind of storm. Face. So face goes from chach to rot. That's a big set of differences there. Rot. Face. Honestly, I mean, rot. Should I keep that one the same? Like a face or an expression? Let's just call it like a facial expression. Monument. Tudzod. Monument. I mean, I'm guessing they're not going to have like massive monolithic monuments at this point. We could at least call it maybe like a shrine or some kind of spiritual object. Well, let's call it like just a magical object. And then we have animal, which comes from chais. No, that's chach. So chach becomes rilch. It's animal. I mean, yeah, I guess we could still just call that an animal. Do I already have animal? No, I don't. Yeah, we're just going to keep that one the same. Ghost, that's been NA because of its originally Prince I origins. So we're going to keep that as NA right now. And that means we have a space for the concept of ghost. Now we have drinking water. Radv. Drinking water. I mean, that could just be... Well, I think we already have water, don't we? Yeah, we already have the concept of water. And so I'd say we could just cause this to be a drink. We could cause tunilk, the intoxicating drink. We could just call that like a poison of some sort. Then we have plant, which goes from dahwa to buff. We could call it zupuff. Radva sounds sexy. Yes. Yes, indeed. This is a very sexy kind of a proto-language that I'm trying to create here. It's kind of like if Auto-June is meant to sound like a combo of like English, Navajo, well, Old English, Navajo, and maybe a little bit of Arabic, then I wanted Proto-Cerncahelan to sound like kind of like a Proto-Germanic kind of just medieval stereotype kind of vibe, but with a lot of extra vowels and consonants, including like palatalized consonants, but not necessarily palatalization. That's the toughest part. I wanted palatal sounds, but like no palatalization that affects vowels and things. And yeah, I think it's a pretty cool vibe in general. But anyway, so plant. We could say plant is like grass. You know, then we have a thing or an object. Oh no. Is even sayable. Oh god. We're gonna do like a little ASMR simulation of me trying to pronounce that. Oh god. No, the answer is no. And yeah, dva, and yeah, there's the dva, and then there's technically the unvoiced equivalent, the tva, but that's with the bilabial what is it? Yeah, the bilabial fricative in there as the alternative. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I want to try and keep as much of that as I can into, maybe not Permachican, but maybe that would be something for Noshin. Anyway, so Deeb, for thing or object. Maybe instead of it being like thing or object in general, it could be like a personal belonging. Then you have red clay. J. God, that voiced palatal plosive is hard to pronounce. J. Yeah, that honestly, yeah, you found the secret. So there wasn't really red clay in the Arkansas area. That kind of thing shows up over in the West. But this could be related to the color red. We're just going to call it red. Then a cylinder. Now, what is the modern Arjun word for cylinder? Dokon. But that turns into a Jukafin cylinder. We're going to call the cylinder like a tree trunk. Because tree trunks are like big cylinders. So then we have man-made dirt. Yeah. I mean, okay, I could see it being a little bit extended. But again, this is over a long period of time. Like, because, you know, you see like a tree trunk. Autojune has a very special relationship with cylindrical things. All of their buildings are these like cylindrical kind of dome-looking structures, except, you know, capped off on the top. So it's not like a dome, it's a cylinder. But you could see how chopping a tree trunk, making it a tree stump, you know, that trunk is going to look like a cylindrical shape in the end. You know, I think it makes sense. At least, you know, after like 5,000 years of differing definitions of things, I'd say it works. Tree trunk, or maybe even... Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, I'll keep tree trunk. Maybe I'll add like tree stump on there to be more specific. Alright, cool. So jam is for, you know, the man-made dome. This is where dome, like for the flunk dome, comes from. A man-made dirt structure. Now that one though is related to Zohud or Druhud. which goes to dorm. Okay, so we have these two words that are definitely necessarily attached to each other, but this is something that only really comes to fruition in AutoJune. So these things could be still related to, structures. Now, damn, that message didn't go through, I think. Let me check. No, it did. It went through. If you're talking about the same one that I'm thinking of. Brick? It could be brick. That's true. No, I like that. I think brick is like brick, or at least some kind of building block. And a building, a tower, or a dome, that could be like related etymologically to more of like a wall than anything else. Then foot comes from fylunge. Fylunge. Which originally comes from and. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. The YouTube chat does not seem to be showing off, like, everything. It's kind of weird. Like, every now and then I'll have to check back on the XSplit list and see what we have here. What is it? But it looks like I've got everything on here, unless it's a message that literally didn't send. But I don't really know. Or we're still getting most of it. I'm still calling this a successful run. Fylunge. So that's foot. And it comes from, and. Now again, I don't have a word for foot yet, but it could be related to, say, like, any kind of palm, like palm of your hand, or like the bottom of your foot, just any of the squishy boys, kind of like I'm not gonna say a paw, but wink wink. What is that called? Like the bottom of your foot. It's not a foot palm. It's the flat of your foot, the arch of your foot. Oh. Should I have a distinction between the alveolar tap and flap, despite it being cursed? I like the symbol of the flap. Oh god. Having a distinction between the tap and flap. Oh god. Oh yeah, the word is soul. That's the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, we're gonna call that a palm or a soul. Cool. Thanks. Again, like, yeah, I really like the symbol of the flap. It's pretty aesthetic. It's a very convenient symbol. Like, we should all use it in our daily lives. Spelling reform all the way. Change butter from having two T's to just being B, I mean, B, schwa, flap, and then rhoticized schwa. I mean, tap and flap technically aren't synonymous. I think it depends on like the direction of your tongue or something. I'm not too certain on the varieties of that, but I know that there is a difference, and having a distinction between them, they're really similar sounds. Like, even if it is literally just going ra versus ara, that's so similar. Having a distinction between that would be as wild as having a distinction between the voiceless h and h. You know, so if you want to do that, if you're going for that in the same conlang, and you're gonna have some wild kind of distinctions that you'll never see anywhere else, like it's definitely something to do. Like, I'm all for doing wild, wacky phonologies, but yeah, yeah, exactly what he said. It's there is technically a difference, but it's so similar that it would be a wild experience, you know, to have them distinguish between each other. But again, like, if you can successfully replicate those sounds yourself, and you can, like, make recordings of yourself saying them, you know, in phonemically important contexts, then I would say go for it. I would like to see that. That would be pretty impressive. That would be pretty juicy to see. Like, definitely try it if you really want to go through that pain and suffering. Then why not? Like, Pitham is all of the bilabial sounds. So, you know, obviously I'm all for those kind of wacky things. But yeah, there is a difference. And it's a really hard difference. But, you know, why not? It's conlanging, it's a good time. Memes abound. Do it. Alright. Fumig. Oil and grease. We're gonna call that, like, fat. Like, literal fat on something. So, you know, it makes sense. Oh god. Camera and film. Something that definitely didn't exist back then. Is there any way to justify the existence of a root word for camera or film? If anything, maybe like a memory. Yeah, there's no word for memory yet, so it works. I get the best results by putting between vowels of different heights. High to low tends to flat for me. Ira. Now I could Ari, Ari. I could see that, you know. Again, like, even if you make them like allophones to the same phoneme, like, that's still gonna be a really challenging bit of sound to you know, to teach and justify in the language. And again, it'll be cool. Like, go ahead and try it out. Ira, ari, ira, ari. Sorry. I mean, this is all we really do. We just make sounds, but... Oh, why, hello there. Let's see. I can read Cyrillic. Miroslav Alexandrov. Hi there. Alright, so if we have urine, which is originally fe, becomes hes. Hes. Should that stay urine? Should it be like urethra or something? Because we already, yeah, we're coming up to penis, which is lohes. But then somehow we have hair, fruf, which also joins back to the same kind of word. So I think these guys here should both become like kind of genital area, like crotch. We're going to say crotch genitals is going to be both where fruf and fu originally come from. Oh, not corch, but crotch. so this, we can call it urethra. We have dirt natural, which is foie, right? Foie, like what foin comes from. Oh, what do we have here? Oh God, I is to in one klong, where only appears between rising vowels and via appendices. It's fun and has led to some cool things, so I kind of want to try it as a full distinction. Yeah, no, that's yeah, that's something I never have thought about, but that sounds pretty cool. Like, seriously, go for it. Send me the results. Like, I want to see that. That's impressive. Ira, ara, ira, ari, ira, ari. That's that is a mind-blowing sound that I have not even thought of. Very cool. But yeah, so if we have dirt natural, which is foie, becomes fel. Maybe just soil, fel, or composted material. Well, I already have a word for detritus, another Membean word that means, like, you know, decomposing leaves that fall to the ground below the trees, or like just kind of rotten grass and stuff. Fel. So yeah, well, let's just call that like soil. Bucket, foods. So if we have foods, hey, great minds think alike. We can do this. Ira, ari. It works, you know? The quintessential high and low vowels. Foods. Bucket. Container. Pond. I'd say thousands of years could stretch bucket to pond or puddle. That's the best one. But then we have container. Also starts with an F. But figla for container. We could even have that one be the ancient origin of bucket. Just have it switch around. Honestly, like, or container, maybe it could be like a channel, like a manually made canal or something that eventually goes to contain it. Or tank. And I don't mean tank like a literal like vehicle tank. I mean like what you see out in the wild in Arizona, where ranchers dig these pits in a wash and it lets like the water fill it up, and it's literally just a tank of water for cattle to feed upon. That tank, like a nature kind of tank. And then we have food, which is collection or conglomeration. Collection or conglomeration. Food, which originated from hot. Okay. Food. Yeah, a collection or conglomeration, that could be more of we could call it a horde, we could call it a nest. Let's call it a nest. That's logical. Then we have suktve for window. Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. Send everything to me. I get back to things relatively soon. Sometimes I forget that the email exists and it takes me like a week to respond, but I'm paying attention to things lately, so we can get to it sooner. And the same goes to anyone. Like, I don't know how many people are watching right now, but, you know, anyone, if you have any questions or you just want to show me things and potentially do a showcase, like I'm making a showcase for Salem's language right now. Like, if you want to do a showcase of one of your languages, then just send me as much information about it as possible, including like some voice recordings and all that. We could do it. But yeah, yeah, definitely send it to me. I'll check it out a little bit later. I've got a lot to do today, so I probably will need to end this stream relatively soon, considering it originally was just a test and it turned into like an hour and a half or so of me doing, you know, conlinging stuff and talking to y'all, which is awesome. And I'm going to do it more often. I think it's a really fun time. But I have many things that I need to do today, including editing for other Agma Schwa videos. So I'll probably have to go relatively soon. I'll do like maybe we'll go to the word for language and then we'll end for today. All right, so suktwe for window. It could just be like any kind of air opening. Obviously, window in English does come from ventus, like wind in general. It could be the same thing. Like, I mean, it has wind in the name. I mean, we could do that. Just say that, like, suktve is, like, wind. But at the same time, I think I want to emphasize something very important to me, and that is fresh circulating air in general. So we're just going to call it, like, we're going to say window eventually will come from fresh in the context of like circulated. Acid. Acid is a tough one. Did they know what acid was back then, back in Mississippi and Arkansas and all that in the ancient times? Probably not specifically. But it could have been something related to burning or pain of some sort, like a kind of sizzle, a kind of a heartburn kind of feel, you know, like stomach acid, but not including the concept of the acid itself, but like kind of gas, like gastrointestinal, like the gastrointestinal nasal, you know. It'll all go back to that. Then we have pearl. Again, Steven Universe has invaded my life. Rolled puff. Pearl. So pearl, something that comes from a clam, you know, something shiny, a little orb. It's white, it's spherical. We could say, maybe this could even come from something like star, you know, because they don't have pearls. These guys are in Arkansas and Mississippi, ancient times, dog people. They're not going to open up oysters and find pearls. So what would they say someone who, you know, somewhere down the line discovers a pearl? They're going to say, wow, that rock looks like a star. So we're going to call it a star. Weapon, which originally was jab. Jab becomes dvub. So dvub, weapon, sword, blunt object, kind of boop. Give him something a good smack. What could that be? Like, just a paddle, maybe? I think that makes sense. Paddle. Then we have the vulva or vagina in general concept, which comes from dich in Autojun, going backwards to dvug. So dvug, vulva, vagina. Arrival. Weapon is tool. I mean, yeah. But also, these guys were like, kind of river-bearing people. Obviously they were. So they obviously had boats at this time. They had paddles, things you slap with. I'm gonna keep it paddle, because I already have a word for tool. Also, I came up with it a few days ago. It's like up at the top of the list. Octopus alien vibe. Yes. Dog alien vibe. More like it. But yeah, honestly, I might just keep this as like vulva vagina, or at least like something relating to, human birth or being a whole. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it a whole, because we already have a general term for genitals in general. So then we have smoke, doktve, smoke. Now this could stay relatively similar, though I think I already made a word for smoke. I'm pretty sure I did. Smoke. I don't think I have a word for fire yet, though, so we can call it fire. Actually, well, smoke is the stuff that comes out of fire. There should be a different word dedicated to that. Like, this could even just be like cloud. And finally, last word for the day, we have language, which is, as you would know if you've been around for a while, kat is language in Auto-June. But long ago, it was kutve, language. Kutve. Yeah, no, I'm making it. It's gonna be whole. Very, very nice for vulva / vagina. Yeah. So we're on our last one now. We're on language. We're on kutve. I mean, it could stay as language. It could be related to family, because the people that you're around are going to be speaking the same language as you. It could be even like they speak in the way of the people of our homeland, Oh yeah, I've seen I've seen Arrival. No, it's okay, Samuel. Everything is fine. But yes, I've seen Arrival. Actually, I've seen half of Arrival in a linguistics class. I haven't watched the entire thing yet. I probably should. But yeah. So the memes run strong. I'm gonna say this is going to be the emotional home. Yeah. Alright, cool. Alright, that was basically 100 new words put on here. Probably more, honestly. But yeah, so live streaming works. Don't worry, Salem. It's okay. It doesn't matter. To me, spoilers don't really matter so much as long as the plot itself is good. Because I don't know if any of you have watched overly sarcastic productions, but one time Red said something that I very much related with. It's really not a bad thing to be spoiled of the ending if you still enjoy the story anyway. If the ending being spoiled ruins the entire experience for you, then the story itself probably wasn't that good. So even if I know the ending to something, then as long as it's something that's still going to be worth watching after I know the ending, then it's not a tragedy. It's fine. Though, of course, like, don't spoil the end of Steven Universe for me, because I like it. I'm watching it, and it has some pretty genuinely good plot twists. But again, if you do spoil it for me, I'm still going to watch it. It's not going to tear everything apart. All right, cool. So, live streaming works. Happy ending. I'm going to do this more often. I don't know necessarily if it'll happen on Monday mornings, but, you know, just in general, I always release my videos on Tuesdays and sometimes an additional video on Saturday. So, anytime between then, anytime that's not a Tuesday or Saturday, or maybe sometimes on a Saturday, I don't really know, live streams of me doing conlang related things can happen now that I have figured out all of this epic technology. And then I'll check out how the audio quality and everything was after this is all done. So, I am going to exit now. Alright? So, good times, everybody. Any last comments or whatever, say them now, or send me an email at nguhmail@gmail.com, and I will see y'all soon. Alright? Yeah, good times. Good times. A good time was had by all. Alright. See y'all later. Yeah, that's right. Alright. Bye-bye.